Sekunde. Those of you who don't know, it's a second, Sekunde. Sekunde. And also, Felix Kwachofosu is in the studio. He is the special aide to John Dramani Mahama, former president of the Republic. Gentlemen, good morning. How are you doing?
Morning. We are doing good.
Great.
This is your ambush.
Oh, I didn't do anything. Who are you, brothers of the sanctuary? If there's anything at all, relax for me.
Because he and I are mass service.
Relax for me. If there's...
Then if he was not serving, I wonder what...
Bobo, sit here for me so that because your chair is down.
What mischief will be up to? If you... I think Dr. Pablo has a song. Unya
Misumpuni.
I'm
looking for the song.
aware of your mischief nature, right?
I don't know.
Dr. Pablo, Unya Misumpuni.
What have I done again? It's serious. I mean, anyway. So your candidate won. Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
But did he win by the margins that you expected?
Well, my expectation was really in the region of between 75 and 80%. But obviously 61% is an overwhelming endorsement by all accounts. Because if you relate it to the kind of projections that were made in the run-up to the election, you saw the global info analytics people, for example, which is a pool that have come to be largely relied on by a lot of people. Our friends in the NDC and several other groups of people have attributed some level of credibility to that poll. And they suggested that we were going to have a runoff. But clearly, 61%, which is the highest that everybody who has ever contested the NPP presidential candidate in a contest, excuse me, apart from His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, first time has ever got. And so, to that extent, I think that it was a good win.
Right.
It's important that we congratulate all the participants in the election. Honorable Adainimo, Honorable Efri Yakoto,
right.
My very good friend and senior Santa, Kennedy Ohene Japan, who I served as his vice chair on the Communications Committee in Parliament during the 7th Parliament. A very good friend of mine. Save that on this occasion, we agreed that we're going to disagree. He did extremely well. But I believe that NPP as a party is the winner in all of this. All the contestants have pledged their commitment to the party, and it's my expectation that, as they indicated, we're all going to work very, very, very hard to ensure that the misfortune called NDC will never befall this country again. Of course, they have said all sorts of things. That Dr. Bawumia is the weakest link. So
is he not?
Why should they not be excited? I would have thought that in that case they would go to sleep and wake up on the 8th of December and the election results will be declared. But you can see that they've gone out mounting a spirited attack on the personality of Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. It tells you clearly that he is the one that they are scared of. I've seen some analysis that they put out there, very disingenuous analysis.
Which is that?
That worst performance of a government or under the leadership of His Excellency the Vice President, as if to say he's been president ever before in this country. He's been Vice President.
But the president said he was using his brain to govern. He told school children that
the president said that he was using the vice president's brain to govern.
Yes, he used children.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Maybe we'll ask the president.
So why are you putting it out here? If you don't know, why are you putting it out?
But he said it.
I didn't hear him. But if you...
Should I play the tape for you?
I don't have a problem if you want to play it.
Right.
But it will make no relevance whatsoever. I'm saying that, why? So he's taking Dr. Bawumia's brain from his head and putting it in his own head and using it to govern. Yeah, we have economic challenges. Nobody's going to run away from it. If that's what you thought my response was intended to elicit. Not at all. We have huge challenges as a country. So is the case with several other countries across the world. Ghana's is unique to Ghana because of our own problems, okay, which are unique to us, because of our own underlying economic issues prior to a global pandemic.
I see.
Okay, I was in Singapore only a few weeks ago. Inflation and all the economic in there, the people were complaining. My liaison officer who accompanied me right from airport throughout my stay there, was telling me about the kinds of challenges that they encountering. The slump in housing, for example. Saw a publication on Reuters. Go to UK, go to US, everywhere across the world. Been in South Africa not too long ago. Economic issue is biting. Of course, Ghana's is unique.
That's why Dr. Bawumia says he wants to save us. He wants to save Ghana. He wants to save us from who?
Well, from the economic hardship that we are suffering.
Is it not part of the team that said they were bringing change?
You see, of course, we've brought sufficient enough change until a pandemic struck.
71,000 people
And
said he should not be flag bearer. That's a statement from somebody who did just 5 months of work.
In an internal contest.
That's a statement.
How is that a statement?
5 months of work.
You had a contest of one man in the NDC in 2016. 60,000 people voted for nobody when there was one man. Yet he was candidate. And you talk of a contest in the NPP. And you use the number of people who voted for Japan to say that what? It's a statement that what?
Are you not?
And so hold on. So the in excess of the 110,000 people who voted for Bawumia is of no consequence. That one is not a statement. Let's not do these things to ourselves, because look, it's a contest of ideas.
Gabriel Tredaku says you have a lot of work to do.
Of course, we have a lot of work to do. Nobody is denying it, because the propaganda, okay, the falsehood, the narrative that is being attributed to the government, which is sinking in some minds. Unfortunately, not all of us have the requisite complexities to appreciate the entirety of the issues together. And so it's important that we go out there and let the people understand that it cannot be the case that 2017, 2018, 2019, when albeit challenged economy because of the huge obligations that we inherited, that we needed to deal with, our country was growing.
You extended the IMF program.
Based on what?
I don't know. You
don't know? You're a media man.
Why did you extend it?
It was a condition that we extended because 18 months after the program commenced under the leadership of Mr. Mahama, not one benchmark was attained. You are not aware?
But you knew
I'm asking you. You are not aware.
But you knew this.
I'm asking you. You
knew
you are a media man. You sit on radio every morning.
You knew this.
And you sit on radio.
This conversation is about me.
Are you not aware? No, I'm asking you.
This conversation is not about me.
So you are not aware that there was a condition that because of the benchmarks not having been met, it was important for us to extend, or that the IMF were going to exit. You are not aware. No, I'm asking you. You are not aware.
Hold on. You promised that you were going to end the IMF program and transform Ghana in 18 months. Why are you still talking about 18 months?
The benchmarks have indicated to you were not met.
You came into power in 2017.
Yes.
And if there were any benchmarks to be met, why did you not oblige them?
Oblige who? When did the program start? The program started in 2015.
Right.
And I'm saying to you that when we came into government, all the key benchmarks that the government had committed to meet were not met. And so, as part of the conversation with the IMF in our transition conversations, it became apparent that we needed to extend the program so that we can exit successfully. And that's exactly what we did.
So when you left the IMF, you ran back to the IMF?
What precipitated our going to the IMF in 2022? You think it's of no consequence? And what precipitated the NDC going to the IMF in 2015? And let's look at the factors that the country had encountered in both periods.
See, let me bring in Felix.
So we'll deal with them.
Okay, let me bring in Felix. But first, listen to the children.
To ask why, out of all people, did you choose Dr. Bawumia as your vice president?
Of all the Bawumia as my vice president. Oh goodness, those are many, many questions. But I think you're aware of our country in terms of the balance, people from the south, people from the north. I think that for the unity of the country, it is good that we have a leadership where northerners and southerners are together so that the country can remain united. He's from the north. I wanted somebody from the north to partner me for the elections and then for the governance. He's also a very clever man, and I needed his brains to help me govern the country effectively. And he's an honest person. He speaks honestly to you. He's not one of those people who you have to guess what they're trying to say. He will say what he has to say very directly. And I like that. I prefer to deal with people who are also very direct.
Felix, this is the President of the Republic.
There's even greater evidence, Johnny, of Akufo-Addo's absolute reliance on Bawumia to manage the economy.
Where did you get that from?
Oh, on 8th February 2018, President Akufo-Addo presented the State of the Nation address.
Right.
There's a paragraph in there that I will quote for you. I am glad to be able to report that the economic management team, under the stellar leadership of the strong, brilliant economist, Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia, has risen to the challenge, and the hard work is beginning to show positive results. President Akufo-Addo made it absolutely clear.
In Parliament.
In Parliament. When he finished, he actually tweeted it. He liked this so much that he singled out that paragraph and tweeted it.
What is wrong about that?
So it actually establishes the point that you made, that Bawumia is in charge of the economy. So if the economy tanks, it is his responsibility. You see, our friends are ridiculous sometimes. The lying, hypocrisy, sometimes the nonsensical propaganda that and it is not directed at my friend directly. It's the general NPP establishment, Bawumia included. In fact, he is the leader of that brand of pure propaganda. He is telling you that they extended the IMF program because we didn't meet.
Why did you do that?
Ask him whether they met any single condition before they exited in 2019. The IMF waived it. That's how come they exited. So sometimes when they engage in these lies, in a bid to make excuses for their governance, it is funny. He is telling us that when they come and make excuses for their failure, we should accept it. You see, first of all, the 40% that you say rejected Bawumia agrees. These are NPP members who they agree with us and the rest of Ghanaians that Bawumia is not fit for purpose and that he has failed in the discharge of his duty as the man responsible for this economy.
They had choices. They had 4 people.
But if
and out of the 4, they chose to vote for.
You are telling me that this is one party. You have a vice president who has done so well, said that if we present him to elections, he will win hands down because of fantastic performance. You will leave him and go for somebody who doesn't have the same capacity.
He brought the showdown.
Which showdown? There's no amount of showdown that would have made impact if Bawumia had performed. The 40% of NPP.
37%.
Oh, that's almost, so we've run it almost 40%.
Oh,
even 37%.
Yeah,
that's fine.
man.
Even 37% is fine. 37%. 71 out of 200,000. He was saying that 60,000 people voted against, but that's out of almost 1 million people. So it is insignificant statistically. But 71,000 out of 204,000 is huge. It means that Bawumia does not have popular support even within his own party. How much more the entire Ghanaian public? And why does he not have popular support? Because people have seen that despite his lofty talk, what we call in our local parlance to know, he could not deliver. Look, in 2024, Ghanaians are going to have 2 men who have served in government. President Mahama has served before in the same capacity that Bawumia is serving now, Johnny. He was vice president and head of the economic management team. Bawumia is vice president and head of the economic management team. But you can compare both of them in that capacity. You can even compare President Mahama as president to Bawumia because Bawumia is going to face him anyway. And the only way that you assess people for leadership is what they have done with what they were given. Is that not so? Now, when President Mahama was vice president, what were the economic outcomes? as Bawumia has been vice president and head of the economic management team, what have been the economic outcomes?
Was there a global pandemic in your time?
I beg you, Johnny, let me give you
No, but that's the argument.
Who says that is the first time that we've had externalities in economic management? You see, that's why I talk about their ridiculous propaganda. They are lying. You should go and ask Akufo-Addo and Konedu Apreku what they told Victor Salome and Kwame Pepra when they complained about the slump in global commodities prices. Is that not an externality? Is that not an external shock? Is that not an external shock? Who says that COVID is the only external shock that we've had in our history? Between 1998 and 2000, our commodity prices slumped in half. Akufo-Addo, Kufuor, Konedu Apreku and Co said they will not have that excuse. Indeed, Ghanaians agreed with them and voted against us. In 2007, there was a global economic crisis leading to the collapse of major financial institutions around the world. You recall that there was one night that President Kufuor actually addressed the nation. I recall because I was a member of the CJ. As he was reading the address, we were writing our response. We rejected his excuse. Ghanaians agreed with us and did what? Threw him out or threw the government out. In 2016, we had global shocks. There was financial crisis in China and the international financial community. In addition to that, we suffered yet another slump in commodity prices. Even the oil revenue that we were reliant on, he knows it. We produced just about 70,000 barrels of oil per day because of a problem with the FPSO. They didn't accept that excuse, did they? So why should we accept the COVID excuse? In any event, COVID, is it only Ghana that is affected? Is it only Ghana that COVID affected? What about all our neighbors? Why do they not have that catastrophic economic outcome? The reason is simple, Johnny. Since 2018, they began to mismanage this economy. Look, if you want to see how well a government has prudently managed an economy, you look at the budget deficit. What is the difference between the money you earn in terms of revenue and expenditure? In 2018, when they came to power in 2017, we had left them a deficit of 6.1%. In 2017, it was around 4% because they didn't have to do much. Because they had just come into power. There were no commitments to
give them credit.
No.
They're working hard to make sure that the figures don't shoot up.
Their economic policy, their budget was ready in March. It was in September that they started making some expenditure. Apart from public sector wages and what have you. In 2018, when they had a full financial year to account for, they recorded a 7.5% deficit, which was higher than what they met. In 2019, they got another 7%. In 2020, when COVID struck, the finance minister went to parliament and said that, look, the November budget I read in 2019 for 2020, we cannot work with it because COVID has thrown things off gear. So jettison it. This is my new budget. In that budget, he projected that because of COVID and the expenditure that we are going to make, our deficit will be 11%. It was high, but it was understandable because of COVID. When the elections came in sight, they decided that because they needed to win elections, they have to be reckless, spend by heart, as we say here colloquially. You recall how their Northern Regional Vice Chairman, Phyllis Yatete, came to tell us that they were dishing out public funds to NPP executives like confetti. She alone got about 170,000 Ghana cedis.
100,000, that's what she
No, she said there's another 70,000 that she got as a candidate. The 100,000 was for her as vice chairman of the region.
Right, chairman.
She got another 70,000, which she actually gave out to another party operative to use for some work for the party. If you mismanage our funds like that, why won't you record the 17% deficit? Look at the disparity. They promised 11%. They achieved 17% deficit. It is that hole that has led to the precipitous collapse of the economy.
But WHO gave the government credit for fighting COVID.
But which government did not fight COVID? In Cote d'Ivoire. Go and check the figures in Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, and see whether they did not fight COVID. In fact, more people died here than they did in Cote d'Ivoire. It meant that technically, if you were looking at the deaths and infection rate, they managed it better. But their inflation is nowhere near the 54% that we recorded last year. They have single-digit inflation. Their debt is nowhere near what we have.
Bawumia says John Mahama is afraid of him.
Who is afraid of a failure?
Oh,
look, it's like Tano Bofuakwa telling Barcelona that Barcelona is scared of them. You see, if Barcelona is going to play Tano Bofuakwa, Barcelona has to show up. Because if Tano Bofuakwa alone go, they will give the points to them also. But if Barcelona comes, it doesn't mean they have. Do you think that Tano Bofuakwa can take on Barcelona? By what metric? You have failed. They've given you small economy to manage. You fail like this. Let me give you the records. So that any sane person listening to me, when they come to make a choice, will know what to do. When Mahama was vice president, our total debt between 2009 and January 2013 was 35.1 billion Ghana cedis. By the end of last year, Bawumia's total debt was 600 billion Ghana cedis. That doesn't even include debts incurred this year and SOE debts. Total revenue accruing to John Mahama in the 4 years that he was vice president. Of course, in the last 4 months, he became president because of the unfortunate demise of President Mills. He had a total revenue of 70 billion. Bawumia, in the last 7 years, if you add our revenue figures in the budget, oil proceeds, gold proceeds, cocoa proceeds, the borrowings, grants, and everything we've had amounts to 830 billion Ghana cedis. Almost 4 times what they came to meet in 2016. If you look at our debt to GDP ratio, because it is critical, that is what enables you to assess whether your debt is sustainable. Of course, the actual indicator is tax revenue to debt servicing. In 2012, after Mahama had been vice president for 4 years, our debt to GDP ratio was 48.4%. At the end of last year, it was 104%. What it meant is that when we were in power, if we put a monetary value on our GDP and theoretically say that we are, it's an important indicator. He doesn't know.
Voodoo analysis,
he doesn't understand it. Let him consult. Any economists will tell you. Look, the reason why they do that GDP ratio, they say that it is.
So in 2016, what was the figure?
No, you have your bite.
Johnny, when we compare,
in 2016,
I beg your pardon. In 2016, it was 56%.
That's not true.
You don't know what you are talking about. Look, see, beginning from 2013, all economic figures are reported with a rebased metric.
Right.
That is how come their debt to GDP ratio. And if we're using the old one, their debt to GDP ratio will be 200%. He doesn't know. So you compare apples to apples. So don't dispute things that you don't know. But you said that we should not compare Mahama as president to Bawumia as vice president. That's not what they have said. So I'm comparing him as vice president to your vice president.
Can Mahama win over Dr. Bawumia?
But Master, if you look at these results, somebody is vice president.
Does the Ghanaian electorate consider these things?
Johnny, you were in Ghana. Look, let's put aside these facts, okay? But economic analysis is done with facts. It's not conjecture.
Right.
But the Mukanda is not what you do. But let's put it aside. Look, which sane Ghanaian, I'm talking about a sane person in this country, can tell me that conditions in this country are better now than they were in 2016? You tell me. Johnny, can you say that? Can the Japa say that? No. Can Bawumia himself say that? So if the conditions are worse, on what basis do you say that they will offer Bawumia? Meanwhile, Bawumia is the man who, as I have indicated to you, let's forget about what Akufo-Addo told the kids. Let's say that because they were children, he was dribbling them. But these are his own words, captured in his own State of the Nation address that Ijapa was sitting there and heard, that he tweeted in his official Twitter handle to inform the public what Bawumia's position was in his government. The man felt so that, look, Johnny, let us look at the domestic debt exchange that is going on. Do you know what that means? There are about 1.3 million bondholders. So that equates to about 1 million households, including pensioners, who go to the Ministry of Finance every now and then to protest the non-payment of their bonds proceeds. This is how these people survive. They lend money to government. So periodically, twice every year, they get interest. And then when the principal is due, they are paid. Under Mahama, he paid and did not default. Under Bawumia, because of excessive borrowing and recklessness, which has thrown our economy into chaos, he says he can't pay.
But we are not in normal times.
But who created the abnormal times? If you overspend, you overshoot your budget by 17%, how are you going to have normal times? Who created the abnormal time? Was it my grandmother's dog? Who created it? Johnny, who has managed this economy? Was it my grandmother's dog? Why? Dr. Bawumia says he's the one in charge of, what do you call it? Agenda 111, not so.
Right.
He says he's in charge of Ghana card, not so. So in one government, he's in charge of something, but something else he's not in charge. When things appear to be good for him, at least on paper, he says he's in charge. When the thing goes out, he's not even honest.
But he's
enough
not,
to take responsibility.
But he's not alone. He's leading a team.
Why?
So there's
Mama, no, Mama was he alone. Mama was he an island in the sea. Even the president is he alone. But what did they tell Mahama anytime he spoke about the challenges we were facing? Why? If you are getting $200,000 barrels of oil worth of revenue, and somebody got 76%, are you equal? Did they listen to any? Look, and I'm telling you, look at our history. Let Ijapa tell you that when Kwame Peprime with Osalemi, who were finance minister and deputy at the time in 1998, were telling them that we had taken external shocks in the way that our commodity prices had slumped. Did they accept it? Did the Ghana people accept it? Did the Ghanaian people accept President?
So the sense that I get.
So what are you getting?
Johnny, I suppose that we will have a lot of time to discuss all these issues. Okay, but the sense that I get from Felix's submission is that he himself recognizes that the problems with our economy today is not the making of Bawumia. However, because the NPP did not accept the reasons that they gave,
that is not what I said.
In 2016. Oh, can I finish?
Allow him. Felix, allow him.
Fine.
Go
Because
ahead.
the NPP did not accept what Kwame Prepra and Victor Salome said about external shocks. Because MPP did not accept what Mr. Mahama said about China's cough and its impact on Ghana's economy, such that we had skinned the meat right down to the bone. Because MPP did not accept it, they, NDC too, will not accept the fact that COVID had an impact on our economy. It's a fair conclusion to draw. But thankfully, it's not Felix and I alone who are going to vote. It's the entirety of the people of this country who will sit in the comfort of their homes, who evaluate that, yes, at every point where we have had issues, external factors weigh in. Are they the same?
Are Ghanaians happy with you?
Oh, Ghanaians are not. I'm not happy with the economic situation that we find ourselves in. Because things are hard. The economy is challenged. We agree. But the point is, what took us there? It's important.
That's the question that has not been answered.
But we've answered it several times.
Last Saturday, somebody asked the president. Somebody asked the president after he finished voting, and he said that, do you want me to answer that question here? In the past, the president would have answered that question, but now he doesn't want to answer that question.
Why doesn't he want to answer it? The president has answered it on multiple occasions. He's acknowledged the difficulty that we have in as a country.
Has he acknowledged the part that he played in getting us to where we are?
Of course, in 2020, he committed that economic indicators can be put aside because his preoccupation was to protect Ghanaian lives and livelihoods. Many countries across the world put away their economic factors as basis for decision making. It's not unique to Ghana. But of course, we had underlying problems. Key amongst them being the energy sector payments and also the banking sector issues. These are key. And of course, if COVID hits, how it impacts Ghana will be different from Togo, which did not have these two underlying problems. It will be different from Burkina Faso, which did not have these two underlying problems. It will be different from Ivory Coast. It will be different from every other country.
But
so if you say that COVID hit and let's look at our peers, as if to say all our peers had the same problems.
But Dr. Bawumia said this. When the erstwhile government was in trouble, he said, how can the situation jump over all these other countries and just come to Ghana? Dr. Bawumia said
China's coughing
at the National Theatre.
China's coughing affected Ivory Coast. It affected Burkina Faso. It affected Togo. COVID jumped from China and came only to Ghana. It did not impact any other country in the world. So are they the same? You measure those two issues as the same?
Was Dr. Bawumia being disingenuous?
I'm asking.
Was he being disingenuous?
What was Ghana's economic crisis in 2012 to 2015 a result of any global pandemic?
That's what the NDC has said.
Oh, really? And the facts speak to that. There was a pandemic between 2012 and 2015 that you and I know. Or only the NDC know. So I'm saying that, yes, we have problems. But the key question for Ghanaians, same Ghanaians that he makes reference to, would ask is, how is it that a government that was managing our economy so well between 2017 and 2020
under an IMF program, extended IMF program,
under an IMF program,
extended
whatever
IMF
it
program.
is, we're in an IMF program in 2015, we're in an IMF program in 2016.
That's right.
Was our economy being managed properly? So yes, under an IMF program, we're managing our economy properly, such that IMF was prepared based on the work that government had done to waive a few. And I have the official publication of the IMF here.
You want to read
Okay?
that?
Yes, I'm going to read it. Okay? That considering the authorities' resolve to tackle difficult reforms, the executive board also approved the authorities' request for a waiver of the non-observance of a few program targets.
But you were blaming the previous
I'm
government
saying that
for not
they had not
satisfying those prerequisites,
listen,
and which is what you had to extend for.
Listen.
I'm listening.
I said that they had not met even one.
It's not true.
Not true.
It is not true.
Look, it's unfortunate.
demonstrate to you.
It's unfortunate.
It's not true.
There's not much time.
Right.
Because as
you
is the case, I have other engagements that I need to attend to. Oh, no, but of course, Felix, you and I yesterday when we were leaving,
of course, you also work
when
at
we
the
were
office of the
programmed,
former president.
apart from that, when we were programmed to meet this morning, it's TV3 that we knew.
It's okay, it's okay. I'm happy that you came.
And you know, he said that by 10 minutes past 9,
right.
we'll leave. It's
That's
9:23,
what
and
I said.
I have other comments. So if you don't mind,
we can come back later.
we can come back later at any point.
Because you are speaking.
Because we have a whole year.
That's why I'm not stopping you.
We have a whole year ahead of us to dissect these issues.
But
really,
do you
let's
recognize the weight of work that Dr. Bawumia has to do?
There's a lot of work that we'll do, and we'll go to the Ghanaian and we'll explain what it is that the issues are to those who are wavering, because many people are settled in their minds quite clearly with the engagements that I have had with several people from across various segments of our society.
I see.
That they have extreme confidence in the new patriotic party government. They know the global issues that is impacting our economy. They know the work that we are capable of doing. And they trust that if anybody has what it takes to resolve the economic challenges that we're facing today, it is only the NPP.
I see.
But there are some of our compatriots who are wavering. And so it is our duty, our task, to go out there and forcefully dispel the propaganda that our friends in the NDC are spewing, the attribution to the economic issues that we are facing for the good people who do not
There's
appreciate
propaganda
the key
about
issues.
the economy.
Of course, there is.
The price of king.
I said the attribution,
of,
of course. Oh,
the price of
Johnny,
rice, the price of beans,
I will
the
be
price
the
of
last.
charcoal, the price of oil.
I will be the last person, okay, to sit here and say that the inflationary pressures that we've experienced in the past year or so, okay, is not impacting living conditions in Ghana. I'll be the last person to say that. They are real, okay? Global supply chain issues that arose as a result of the Russian-Ukraine war. People who say, discount it, but they are real, okay? The fact that because of some reckless decision that Parliament led by our friends in the NDC took in the run-up to the passage of the 2022 budget, which led to a run on investment out of this country, which led to a massive downgrade of our economy, would have consequences on our economy. They are real, okay? And so it's important for us to go out there and explain to the people of Ghana that look, we are turning the corner now. We have gone to the IMF against our wish.
The economists say you are not turning any corner. Professor Peter Korty, Professor Lord Mensah, Professor Bokpin, Professor Gachi, Kwame Pieni.
They are the only economists in this country.
Kwame Pieni as well.
They are only. So why? Because Mr. Kwame Pieni is a respected member of the New Patriotic Party, so his views are gospel. That's what you say.
You are not an economist.
The IMF is not seeing that we are turning the corner. The World Bank is not seeing. They are not economists. So I should take Professor Bokpin's word as gospel and say that because I'm not saying whatever. I'm not saying that we are out of the woods. Nobody has said so. That all our problems are over. But clearly, we are on the right path to resuscitating
we
our
have
economy.
not turned the corner.
I said we are turning the corner. Okay, that's what I said. And we'll get there.
The finance minister says we have turned the corner.
We will
That's
get
why
there.
I got it.
So, on that note,
I hear
have
you.
a great day.
Felix, you have the closing thought.
Again, it is a litany of excuses, an excuse-making government after destroying.
You don't want him to leave.
Whether he leaves or not is immaterial. I will still make my point. You see, they don't understand the Ghanaian electorate very well. The Ghanaian electorate does not accept excuses. Again, let me reiterate that COVID is not the only externality that has affected Ghana's economic history. It is only one of many. But if you are a serious economic manager, you do things like that, the impact is mitigated on your economy. What they did was that they hid behind COVID to be reckless, so that when the time comes for assessment, they'll say that it's because of COVID. If you lift the veil, and the way you lift the veil is simply to look at the numbers in their own budget. If you budget for 11% deficit and you do 17, you are reckless. It is not COVID. COVID didn't ask you to do 17%.
In 2017, you hit
it's
figures.
not true. It's not true.
But he kept
You
quiet
hit
for
a
you.
7 billion expenditure that you made and reduce your debt to GDP ratio
Bobo, he
by
kept quiet
almost
for you.
10 percentage points.
Bobo, he kept quiet for you.
This is fake.
It is not true. It is a lie.
Bobo, he
Look, let me tell you
kept
something.
quiet for
Johnny,
you. Yes.
The figures for our economy are generated by the Ghana Statistical Service. It is revised periodically. You should check.
Ghana's
but why?
reported
Go ahead. Go ahead. His mic is off. Go ahead.
The 2016 fiscal fiscal deficit target.
The 2016 deficit was 6.1%. He should look at his own finance minister's budget. It is in there. So your finance minister is a joker. He transmits false data to parliament. Is that what you are saying? The only person who has hit figures is you. You went to underreport the deficit and you were found out by the IMF. When COVID struck and IMF brought us 1 billion, they had to report the state of the economy. If you read the IMF report, it is clear. They were calling something below the line items. Look, no government in this world has the right to conceal some expenditure items. You must disclose all of them. So you are the one on record.
So the below the line was not in the budget.
But what is below the line? you see, you have a deficit of 7%. You said that. But let me make my point. I beg you. Please.
I feel no.
Your finance minister. Look.
A document to Parliament.
It is after you were caught. Look, listen, first of all, what is the use of 2 figures? What is the use of 2 figures?
But you are not reported.
I'll be fair to him.
Listen, your deficit
is
a difference between your expenditure and your revenue. The exception that is made is for debt servicing. So sometimes, in order to see the true picture, you take out debt servicing, which is an obligation. It's almost statutory. That one is what you call the primary balance. Both that and the original deficit are higher than what you inherited. It means that you've mismanaged the economy. That's all. You attempted to play smart on the people of Ghana by claiming that, in fact, in the 2019 budget, the minister expressly stated, it's in there, that for 3 consecutive years, they had run a deficit of below 5%. This is not true. Okay. They were hiding it. But the final point that needs to be made
quickly
is that...
Why didn't you censure him under the Fiscal Responsibility
So,
Act?
is it a fact that he has done it or not?
Was that law
whether
set
I've been censured
aside?
or not is immaterial.
Was that
Johnny,
not set aside?
Johnny was suspended in 2020.
No.
Right.
I'm talking
But
2017.
he's talking of
Listen,
2017.
I'm talking 2017.
So why didn't you censure him?
But the
Because
fact
we passed the Fiscal
I beg your
Responsibility
pardon.
Act.
I beg your pardon.
You have that
I beg your
credit.
pardon.
So why didn't you
Johnny,
censure the minister?
Johnny,
Okay, hold on.
You see, there are
reporting.
facts.
Hold on,
The fact that you have not been punished does not mean you've not engaged in the act.
So punish him.
Oh, I'm
Let's
saying
your
that,
side
listen,
in
Johnny,
Parliament.
Johnny. It's not true. Adongo has raised it. Atufosi has raised it.
On radio.
But where should they raise it? They really raise it in Parliament. Look, Adongo in multiple budget debates has raised it. You are not denying it. Oh, but let me make my point. I beg your pardon. I'm saying that.
To say the
What are you saying?
minister
Is it your contention?
Are they able to do that?
I'm saying that. Is it your contention? It has
You
not
can't
happened
sit
or
on
not?
radio and talk.
What you are saying?
When you have the proper forum
What you are
to take
saying?
action,
What you are saying?
What kind of opposition?
What you are saying is a joke.
Ghanaians should take you
What
on
you are saying is a joke. You, the
for
government, committing the crime.
So-
you, the government, committing the crime. Say we are reckless.
So-
you are stealing and hiding figures.
Impose the sanction.
Johnny, we are having a debate.
Impose the
It is about
sanction.
figures. I'm saying that in 2018, 2019, the deficit was about 7%.
But he's inviting Felix. Hold on, Felix.
Now, what kind of joke is this?
He's inviting
Johnny,
you.
Johnny,
Hold on, Bobo.
Johnny.
Felix, he's inviting you to use
I'm
the
saying
appropriate
that,
forum.
I'm saying that.
Not on
What
radio
is his
and
argument?
TV.
Is he able to say that you did not record the 7% deficit or not? If you are able to say that, you say I have not punished you, so you didn't do. What are you talking about? What kind of ridiculousness is this?
But if you have committed an offense,
no,
and you know it,
listen.
and you have taken any action,
Listen.
then who are you?
Johnny,
But crime has no expiry date.
Johnny, listen to me.
The forum
You see, Johnny,
is to file a
disregard
motion
what he's
in
doing.
Parliament.
You see, people are listening to. I'm telling you that your deficit
Because
was worse
what they are
than.
saying is
Bobo,
not true.
It's the
Bobo,
limit,
be
it's the
fair to
limit.
him. Bobo, be
It's
fair
the
to
limit.
him.
Let's go.
I won't go anywhere. Final point. He goes about claiming that the difficulty we've had is because of take or pay clauses in energy contracts
Right.
and financial sector reform. First of all,
Owusu Bempa has been saying that a lot.
he's a joke. He.
Why are you saying
I'm
that?
saying he's a joke. I'm not going
Deputy
to.
Director
He's
of
a joke. Look, he has
Communications
no
and
business
Patriotic
sitting in that
Party.
place. He's a joke. He has no business. It is a mark of the appalling governance style that somebody like that will sit in Ghana gas. He is a serious deputy leader, so I will respond to him. I know his wet. I don't respond to jokes like that. The other point I need to make is that you see.
I'm hurt.
Oh yes, you have to be hurt. In fact, you are going to be more hurt. The ridiculousness that he let me ask him, how do you have a corporate body like Ghana Gas have their communications director engage in the appalling sort of politics that he engaged? Which serious organization does that? But that is for another debate. He is a serious deputy, so I respond to him. He says that the problems they've had stem from 2 things: financial sector cleanup payments,
That's right.
and energy sector take or pay clause commitments. First of all, what is their position on take or pay clauses? Do they have take or pay clauses in the energy contract they have signed or not? And if it is in there, why are they making noise about take or pay clauses in ours? Number 2, let us assume, and those claims are false anyway, but we don't have time, so I won't go into detail. But let me make a general point. If you add the so-called energy sector payments to the financial sector payments, Bawumia claims that it is 50 billion. Meanwhile, when the minister brought the breakdown to Parliament, the energy sector payment was around $1 billion. But Bawumia says when you put those together, it's 50 billion. They have had access to 830 billion Ghana cedis, Johnny. They have borrowed. In fact, the total debt as of the end of last year was 600 billion. So you are telling me that if you take 50 billion out of 830 billion, that is what has caused a collapse.
You see?
Oh, let me make my point. I beg you, why are you
We're wrapping
Johnny,
up,
I'm asking you a
actually.
question.
We're wrapping up.
Johnny, you and I, and Idapa, we also pay taxes. We have given Bawumia 830 billion Ghana cedis in total revenue, including
You
borrowing.
gave it to President Akufo-Addo. Dr.
Bawumia
Bawumia
he's the manager of the
assisting
economy.
him. He was assisting
He's
him.
the manager of the economy. Akufo-Addo has said that he is the man in charge of the economy. We have given it to Bawumia 830 billion Ghana cedis. Bawumia says that because he took 50 billion Ghana cedis out of it to pay for energy sector related commitments and financial sector cleanup commitments, the economy has collapsed. Does it make sense to you? Number two, Johnny, did you
Number
and
three,
I,
actually.
Number three, did you and I put a gun to Bawumia's head to go and pay 25 billion for the financial sector cleanup? What had happened was this. In 2016, indeed, as part of the IMF arrangements, we did what we call an asset quality review to see the state of health of banks in the financial sector and other financial institutions. 8 of them were seen to have serious liquidity problems. So we decided that a standard practice called liquidity support, sometimes this emergency liquidity support, so that when you take your check to the bank, it does not bounce, you can live your life. It is a loan, a short-term loan given to the banks so that they have liquidity, but they are expected to pay back after an agreed period. We gave the banks that, about 8 of them, including Prudential Bank. Some of them squandered the money.
Why are you singling Prudential Bank out?
Oh, I will establish the reason why I mentioned
Quickly, we have to wrap up.
Yes.
Because
You see,
Japan
some
has
of
a
them-
meeting,
listen,
but you are not making him
but
leave.
he said he was going.
But you are not making him leave.
I said, let's go.
I'm having my second take after he had second take.
Yes.
Some of the banks mismanaged the liquidity support. Prudential Bank managed it well, so they survived. You understand me?
Right.
So what you do is that those who have mismanaged it, you hold them to account, like you've done to Atuesi and Co. But those who manage it well, they continue to do. That was our approach. And then we said that to bail them out totally, we will need 9 billion. You see, bailing a bank out means that you give them money for them to be liquid. What happens is that if their depositors don't make a run on them, you don't need to pay all the deposits at once. But they decided that instead of saving the bank with 9 billion, they will collapse the bank and pay 4 million customers their deposits.
Felix,
You understand me?
But
I
9
want
billion
to
was
see-
what the government mentioned earlier.
Yes,
Right?
but they said it's 25 billion. That's what they are.
Yes, in the final
Johnny,
analysis.
I'm not finished. Johnny,
this 9 billion that they bandied
Johnny,
about.
let me make the point.
I want to see a document that contains that figure.
Why is the document for the 25 billion? Why is the document for the 25 billion?
You said you had a plan.
Why is the
And
document for the 25
we
billion?
inherited the
Johnny,
plan.
Bawumia by word
I
of
want
mouth.
to see the plan.
Bawumia by word of mouth told us that they have spent 25 billion. Where is the document on that? Number 2, you claim you've spent another 25
Number
billion.
four.
Number 4. No, on this matter.
Right.
You claim that you have spent 25 billion or so on the energy sector payment. Meanwhile, when the minister came to Parliament, when Sweeney asked him a specific question, he brought a list that amounted to $1 billion, including yes, but
that document.
But that document is clear.
Because the question that you asked was specific.
It's not. Yes. How much have you paid?
And the information that the minister provided was specific to the question.
Gentlemen, we have to go.
How much have you paid? You said it was $1 billion.
But before we go,
And then no, I'm not finished. Why you had your time? I kept
you were
my
going,
You said you were
But
going.
how can I leave what is sitting
Because our
here?
responsibility is here.
We will
Johnny,
propaganda.
the final point is this.
When are we coming back?
There's no excuse for the mismanagement that Bawumia has supervised. As I said, he engaged in two no. When they were in opposition. When he came into government and it was given to him, he has realized that he doesn't have the capacity. It is the reason why almost 40% of NPP delegates agree with us that he is not fit for purpose, cannot manage the economy, cannot manage anything else. And therefore, they voted for somebody who entered the race barely 4 or 5 months ago.
Right.
Hey,
5
somebody,
months.
yeah, 5 months. Somebody
Five months of work.
who had not been in government and was only an MP. Somebody who's even, look, the truth is that Kennedy Japan's conduct in other places, he will not be allowed even onto a party's presidential
Ballot
primary
sheet,
ticket because of his. I'm not talking about his disagreement with the establishment, but his vulgarity and the things that he
Right,
does.
right.
They won't allow it anyway. But if somebody like that can take almost 40% of votes from you, then it is an indictment, it's a verdict on what your own people think of you. So the Ghanaian people are clear that between your mama, whose record I have recounted to you, far better than anything Bawumia has done or whoever hope to do, they will go for John Mahama. And the debate is very clear.
You see, let me respond to only one issue.
What is it? So I'll respond to the issue.
He says that
I
the
respond.
total revenue that the Akufo-Addo government has received, 800 billion, including borrowing.
800 and
Yes.
something.
And he says that the borrowing is 600 billion. He says.
Oh, I said you have. Let me explain because you are quoting me. I need to explain. Look, as of the end of Johnny,
you have to fix a date for these two.
Johnny, as of the end of 20,
because I'm coming to explain. Now he's coming to explain.
Johnny, as of the end of 2022, I didn't say that you had borrowed 600
because he says that the federal government has borrowed 600
No. I said,
I'm sorry, we have to go.
I said
because I will establish.
2022.
If he allows me, I will establish.
I will also establish that you are not
347 billion of that debt.
We will have part 2.
Is debt that the government of Ghana had accrued from the period of independence to
know how.
Yes.
How?
Okay, gentlemen, this is what I'll do for us.
Another time we will
wait.
Mr. Mohammed's component of it alone
this week,
is
next
347.
This week, next week.
At today's exchange rate.
That is not true.
This week, next week. This week, next week. Please, who's the date at the back for me?
I'm overdose. So if Miss Mike you will pay.
I don't have a problem. Let's talk about
Look,
the
as I sit here,
but if you say that the NPP government has borrowed 600 billion,
that's what it is.
that is not true.
I'm overdose with